Good morning, dear students. So, here we are going to start a new chapter, that is solid state. You know, matter exists in different forms, generally in three forms, that is solid, liquid, and gaseous form. So, about liquid form and gaseous form, already you have studied in class 11th. And here we are going to study about solid form, that is solid state. So what is solid? Solid is that form of matter where matter exists, where matter has a definite shape and definite volume, and these are rigid in nature. Okay, so that form of matter which is rigid in nature and which has a definite shape and volume, that is known as solid. So what are the characteristics of solids? So characteristics. What are the characteristics of solids? So they have definite shape, definite definite shape. They have definite volume. These are generally rigid and hard. Solids are generally rigid and hard, and these have slow rate of diffusion, slow rate of diffusion, and solids have low expansibility than that of liquids and gases. So, and some solids also possesses the characteristics of ductility, malleability. Some shows the characteristics of ductility, malleability, and some show this characteristic of brittleness. So in this way, these are some common characteristics of solids. So while these solids are generally rigid in nature, while they have low rate of diffusion, and while they have less expansibility, so that is due to the intermolecular force of attraction and the intermolecular space. So in the intermolecular space, in solids have low, and the intermolecular force of attraction in solids have high. So in solids, the intermolecular force of attraction is high and the intermolecular space between them are low or less. So in this way, solids, these are the characteristics of solids. Next, so there are intermolecular spaces or intermolecular force of attraction. So these solids, depending upon the characteristics, so generally these solids are in general classified into two types. One is crystalline solid and another amorphous solid. So the crystalline solid, where the constituent particles are arranged in a regular manner over a long range so that it gives a definite geometrical shape, that are known as your crystalline solids. So the crystalline solids are those where the constituent particles are arranged in a long range so that it gives a definite geometrical shape. Definite geometrical shape. You have seen the structure of a small piece of sugar. So all the sugar pieces are generally identical. Similarly, salt piece. So you take the example of sodium chloride or copper sulfate pieces. So all these crystals, they have a definite regular geometry. So in this way, they have a definite geometry. So that's the these are, so they have some plane. So these are known as your crystalline solids. And the solids which do not possesses a regular geometry. Here the constituent particles are not arranged in a regular way over a long range. If arranged up to a small percentage arranged in a regular way, but these are not arranged in a regular way up to a long range, and up to a long range the constituent particles are not arranged and they do not possesses any geometrical shape, that are known as your amorphous solids. So amorphous solids are constituent particles. So here no definite geometrical shape. No definite geometrical shape, that are amorphous solids. So example, glass, plastics, rubber. Here example, sugar, salt like sodium chloride, copper sulfate, ferrous sulfate, calcium chloride. All these are some examples of crystalline solids. Diamond, graphite, these are also diamond, graphite. So these are also crystalline solids. Maximum polymers are generally amorphous in nature. Maximum polymers are generally amorphous in nature. So these are the, so for the constituent particles are regular geometry because all the particles are arranged in a regular manner over a long range, that are crystalline solid, and where the constituent particles are not arranged in a regular manner, that are known as your amorphous solids. Next, what is the characteristics of these crystalline solids and amorphous solids? So as the crystalline solids are arranged up to a long range, generally first they have the regular shape and regular geometrical shape, and another thing, they have sharp melting point. At a particular point the crystalline solid melts, but the amorphous solids that do not possesses a sharp melting point. So when it is heated, it melts gradually. At a particular point, no melting is there. It generally melts gradually. First it becomes soft, then gradually it melts and become liquid form. Okay, so in this way, so what are the characteristics and what is the difference? All these we discuss at one time. So first, shape. So they have regular shape, regular geometrical shape. Geometrical shape, they do not have geometrical shape. Geometrical shape. These are known as long range order. These are known as short range order. Melting point. When we consider about their melting point, the crystalline solid have sharp melting point. They have sharp melting point, and these do not possess sharp melting point. No sharp melting point. No sharp melting points. Generally melts gradually. It melts gradually. And another crystalline solids, they possesses symmetry. Crystalline solids possesses symmetry. And they do not possess no symmetry. So as they have a regular geometry, generally they have different axes of symmetry, different planes of symmetry, but amorphous solids do not possess any symmetry. Next, these are generally crystalline solids. So different physical properties like refractive index, conductance when measured in different direction, then crystalline solids give different value. But the amorphous solids, they give the same value when it measured in different direction. In this way, these are amorphous solids are generally isotropic nature. These are isotropic nature. The property is known as isotropy and substances are known as isotropy. And these are generally anisotropic in nature. Anisotropic in nature. So these are anisotropic in nature. So isotropy means so when different physical properties measured in different directions, then it gives the same value, that is known as your isotropy. And when the different physical properties like refractive index and conductance when measured in different direction, then it gives different value. For example, as the amorphous solids, they do not possess any regular arrangement, and when it is measured in this direction or it measured in this direction or measured in this direction, all cases it gives the same value. But suppose Na plus Cl minus, Na plus Cl minus and Cl minus, Na plus Cl minus, Na plus. In this way, if these are regularly arranged, if we arrange the conductance value in this way, it gives different value, and in this way it gives difference value, and when measured in this way it gives difference value. So the refractive index and the conductance value, these are different in different direction for crystalline solids, but same for amorphous solids. In this way, these are isotropic nature. Amorphous are isotropic nature and crystalline solids are anisotropic nature. Next, so when cut with a sharp-edged knife, generally it gives, when it is cleaved or break or cut with a sharp tool, then crystalline solids possesses smooth surface. So they possesses smooth surface. But when the amorphous solids are cut with a knife, then they do not possess smooth surface. So in this way, they do not give smooth surface. No smooth surface. That is, they give irregular surface. It gives the regular surface because they have particular planar nature. In this way, they have smooth surface while they do not possess smooth surfaces. And another, when these solids are melted and again cooled, then the amorphous solids have a smooth cooling curve. But the crystalline solids, they do not have a smooth cooling curve. So amorphous solids possesses smooth cooling curve. They do not have no smooth cooling curve. These have no smooth cooling curve. There is some break. So first it melts, then at a point it melts and then remains constant with time until all the solids melts and then it will converted to like this. So in this way, the crystalline solid have this type of cooling curve when we measure temperature in y-axis and time in x-axis. But in case of crystal amorphous solids, it possesses a smooth curve like this. In this way, the amorphous solids, actually crystalline solids, these are known as true solids. And these are not known as true solids. These are known as pseudo solids, also known as super cooled liquids. Okay. So in this way, the amorphous solids are known as pseudo solids or super cold liquids. So these amorphous solids are known as pseudo solids or super cold liquids. These are known as super cold liquids. So these are the difference or the characteristics of crystalline and amorphous solids. Next, these crystalline solids are again classified into different types depending on what are the constituent particles present and what is the force of attraction between the constituent particles. Okay, so in this way, the crystalline solids again classified into 4 types. Crystalline solids. These are classified into 4 types. 1. Ionic solids. Molecular solids. Or molecular crystals. Covalent solids. Another metallic solids or crystals. So first come to ionic solids. So here the constituent particles are oppositely charged ions which are held together by electrostatic force of attraction or Coulombic force of attraction. So here the particles are oppositely charged ions. Oppositely charged ions which are held together by electrostatic force of attraction. Electrostatic force of attraction. That is, ionic bond is present. And these compounds have generally high melting and boiling points. And they have high heat of fusion. These are generally non-conductor of electricity in solid state, but they are good conductor of electricity in molten state or in aqueous solution. So these are the characteristics of ionic solids. Examples: sodium chloride, calcium chloride, potassium nitrate. All the ionic compounds all these are known as ionic solids. Okay, so all the ionic compounds are ionic solids. And another thing, these are generally brittle in nature. So when small force is applied, so the different charges, the ions slip their positions. In this way, breaking of these ions takes place. Suppose Na plus Cl minus is there, and by applying some force, suppose sodium ion just changes its position, and chloride come closer each other. As a result, repulsion takes place and bond breaking takes place. In this way, just applying a little force, generally these are brittle in nature. Next come to molecular solids or molecular crystals. So here the constituent particles are generally the neutral molecules. So here the constituent particles are molecules. Constituent particles are molecules. So as they are stable molecules, in some cases atom also, the inert gases also. Okay, so some cases molecules or some atoms, and here the force of attraction between them is very weak. So generally these molecular solids again classified into three types. One, that is your non-polar molecules, non-polar solids, so which are formed by non-polar molecules, solids formed by non-polar molecules, and solid formed by polar molecules, and another polar molecules by hydrogen bond. Polar molecules by hydrogen bond. So these non-polar molecules, that means when the molecules like iodine, hydrogen or inert gases like neon, argon, xenon, when we apply low temperature and high pressure, these gases can be converted into solids. Iodine is also a solid at room temperature, but that is non-polar. So in these non-polar molecules, the force of attraction between them is weak van der Waals force of attraction, that is also known as London's force of attraction. So here the force of attraction is very weak, that is London's force of attraction. And polar molecules, in polar molecules, suppose upon applying high pressure and low temperature, then some polar molecules like hydrochloric acid, ammonia, sulfur dioxide, these can be converted into solid form. And these solids these molecules are generally polar in nature. So due to their polar nature, there exists dipole-dipole interaction. So due to this dipole-dipole interaction, these molecules are converted into solid form. So these molecules are converted into solid form. So here in polar molecules, the force of attraction is dipole-dipole interaction. That is dipole-dipole interaction. Actually, sulfur dioxide, hydrochloric acid possesses this type of force of attraction. All these combinedly known as van der Waals force of attraction. And another, the polar molecules, when in the polar molecules, one atom is hydrogen, which is bonded with more electronegative atom with a smaller size, like that of fluorine, oxygen or nitrogen, then these molecules possesses intermolecular hydrogen bonding. So due to this intermolecular hydrogen bonding, these are generally solids. For example, water. So water is H2O also exists as solid at low temperature, that is 0 degree Celsius or below 0 degree Celsius. That is water also exists as solid. Similarly, hydrofluoric acid can be converted to solid form and ammonia can be converted to solid form. So in this way, all these are known as molecular solids. So here the constituent particles are. So here the constituent particles are molecules and their existence van der Waals force of attraction or hydrogen bonding between them. So for non-polar molecules or atoms there exists London force of attraction, and for polar molecules that is dipole force of attraction. And these molecules have generally so as the force of attraction is less, generally these molecules are soft in nature. They have low melting and boiling points, and these are generally insulators. Okay, so they have low heat of fusion. So these are the characteristics of molecular solids. Next come to covalent solids or covalent crystals. So in covalent solids or covalent crystals, the constituent particles are non-metal atoms. So the particles are non-metal atoms and their existence covalent bonding. There exists covalent bonding. There exists covalent bonding which is formed by the mutual share of electrons. And these covalent solids generally form three-dimensional network structure. So they form 3D network structure. 3D network structure. In this way, so as they possess this three-dimensional network structure, they have giant structure. In this way, these covalent solids have, as they form three-dimensional network giant structure, these covalent solids have also high melting and boiling point. These are also brittle in nature. And covalent solids, they do not conduct electricity. But exception is there there. So some examples of covalent solids are graphite. So it has a three-dimensional structure. Actually, graphite has a layer structure. Graphite, diamond, carborundum, quartz. So these are some examples of covalent solids which has network structure, and these are also very hard. So these are hard, these are soft, and these covalent solids are again hard, and they have very high melting and boiling points. Even in some cases they decompose before melting. Okay, so in graphite, each carbon atom is covalently bonded with three other carbon atoms. In this way, it has a planar structure or layer structure. So one layer of carbon remains over another layer. In this way, this graphite is generally soft among all covalent solids. And due to presence of free electrons, the graphite can conduct electricity. Except this graphite, all other covalent solids, these are generally insulators and hard. But graphite is a conductor of electricity, and this is also soft. And in diamond, each carbon atom covalently bonded with, tetrahedrally bonded with 4 other carbon atoms. In carborundum, it has formula silicon carbide. So it has also a three-dimensional network structure similar to that of diamond. But in diamond, each carbon atom tetrahedrally bonded with 4 carbon atoms. But in carborundum, each carbon atom tetrahedrally bonded with 4 silicon atoms, and each silicon atom tetrahedrally bonded with 4 other carbon atoms, forming a network structure. And quartz. Quartz is the one form of silicon dioxide, where silicon and oxygen form network structure. In this way, these covalent solids are hard in nature as they form network structure. Next come to metallic solids or crystals. In metallic solids or metallic crystals, here the constituent particles are positively charged metal ions, positively charged metal ions known as kernels. known as kernels and electrons. So as you know that the metals have low value of ionization energy. In this way, these electrons are moved easily and they float over the entire crystals of metal. They float over the entire crystals of metal just as water floats in sea. And in this sea of electrons, the metal ions are present and there exists force of attraction between this metal ion and electron, and that type of force of attraction is also Coulombic force of attraction, and the bonding is called a metallic bond. So metallic bond. So here the electrons are generally flowing over the entire crystals, and some positively charged metal ions are there. Positively charged metal ions are there. So, suppose sodium. So, sodium easily gives electron. It gives Na plus electron. So, these are the sea of electrons, and here some sodium metal ions are present. And there exists a force of attraction between these electrons and these metal ions. And that type of bonding is known as metallic bond. So, due to this metallic bonding, these are also hard. They also possesses high melting and boiling point, except two metal, that is mercury and gallium. Mercury and gallium, other metals exist in liquid form at room temperature, and they these due to presence of these free electrons, movable electrons. These can conduct heat and electricity. And metals are generally instead of brittle, these are generally malleable and ductile in nature. So metals are malleable, ductile. These are also hard, soft. Some metals soft and some metals are hard, and they possesses high melting and boiling point. The force of attraction between them is metal ion, the kernels which are immersed in the sea of electron, and there exists the Coulombic force of attraction or metallic bond between them. So these are the classifications of crystalline solids into different types, that is ionic solid, covalent solid, then molecular solid, and metallic solid. Next come to another portion of this chapter, that is crystal lattice and unit cell. Crystal lattice and unit cell. So, whenever we represent a crystal, suppose we want to represent the sodium chloride crystal. So, first write Na plus, Cl minus, Na plus, Cl minus, Na plus, Cl minus, Cl minus, Na plus, Cl minus, Na plus, Cl minus, Na plus. So it takes too much time if we arrange in three-dimensional way. In this way, suppose you have to arrange the graphite, or you arrange the diamond, or you arrange any crystalline solid with its constituent particles, and it actually takes more space and more time. So in this way, all these constituent particles are generally whenever we represent in paper, pen and paper, generally these are represented by some dots or points. Okay, so that dot and points are called lattice points or lattice size. That are called lattice points. So the constituent particles of a crystal, is generally represented by some dots or points that are called crystal points. So the constituent particles of a crystal represented by dots or points that are called lattice points. And suppose we arrange this lattice point in one direction. So this is one dimensional. If these lattice points are arranged in a plane, that is one, suppose this is x-axis and this is y-axis in the plane of this whiteboard, then this is a two-dimensional structure. Okay, so arrangement of all the constituent particles in three-dimensional way, which gives the complete crystal structure, that is known as your crystal lattice. So arrangement of all constituent particles in three-dimensional way, so that it can give the complete crystal structure, that is known as your crystal lattice, also known as space lattice. In the space lattice, there is some portion is repeated itself in three-dimensional way, so that it gives the complete space lattice, and that small portion is known as unit cell. That small portion is known as unit cell. Okay. So in a unit cell, generally whenever we represent a crystal lattice, generally that are represented by the constituent particles are generally represented by some dots or points. So here I have given mark in green color. So these are known as lattice points. So these points are known as lattice points. So some points are there. If we join all these points, then we can get different geometrical shape. Okay, so here I have just marked. So there are different lattice points. So these are some lattice points. And when these lattice points are arranged in three-dimensional way, this is one plane, this is another plane, in three-dimensional way, it gives the complete crystal structure. So the regular arrangement of the constituent particles of different points in three-dimensional space is called space lattice or crystal lattice. In the crystal lattice, the smallest three-dimensional portion, which when repeated again and again, so that it can give the complete crystal structure, that is known as the unit cell. The smallest three-dimensional portion, which when repeated again and again, it gives the complete crystal structure, that is known as unit cell. Look here, what is marked in red color. So this is the smallest portion. So this small portion, this is repeated. Here also another this type of part. Here also another, in the back of this also another part. In the here also another part. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Total here 8 parts are there. So this portion is repeated in this axis. This portion is repeated in this axis. Suppose x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. So when this portion repeated again and again, it gives the complete crystal structure. So if this is the complete crystal structure, then this small portion is the unit cell. So this portion repeated itself in different directions, in three dimensions. So in this is known as the unit cell. So now clear what is unit cell and what is unit cell, what is lattice point, what is space lattice. This unit cell have different parameters, that is their length and another angle. Okay, so the edge length and angles. So what are the different parameters of this unit cell? We will discuss now. So unit cell is the smallest repeating unit. So this is the three-dimensional repeating unit. So when it repeated again and again in 3 dimension, it gives the complete structure. Look here. So this is, suppose this is one a crystal. This one is one suppose a crystal, and small portion here. So this portion is repeating here. So only I have taken only in one direction, and if it is repeated in this direction more and more, it gives the complete structure, crystal structure. And the small portion of this one, so this one is known as its unit cell. So this portion repeated again and again in different direction. So here only 4 are there, and if more number are repeated in x direction, in y direction, and z direction, then it gives rise to the complete crystal structure. So this unit cell have different parameters. So suppose this is one unit cell, and it has different parameters, that is its edge and angle between the edges. Look here. So this one, suppose one a cubic unit cell, and the edge length, this is on x axis. So actually these are the edges. So among these edges, so these are the edges along x axis, y axis, and z axis. So different edges are there, and the edge lengths. So this one is known as, suppose this one is known as, so there are 3 parameters, that is height, breadth, and width. So in this way the parameters are A, B, C, and angle are alpha, beta, and gamma. So suppose this one up to this length, this one is known as your A, and this one is known as your B. So this one is known as your A, length, breadth, and this part is known as your C. Okay. So this is the axis. So this length is known as your C, its height, and this length is known as your length of this length factor. This edge is known as your A, and this one is known as your B. And angle. So what is the angle? Opposite to this A, this angle is actually, this one is alpha, and opposite to this B, this angle is known as beta, and opposite to C, this angle is known as gamma. So this one is gamma. Now you know what is the parameters, that is alpha, beta, gamma. These are the angles between different edges, and A, B, C, these are the edge lengths of an unit cell. Okay, so in this way among the 6 parameters, so these are the edges and these are the angle between the edges. So depending on the size of this A, B, C, and the angles alpha, beta, gamma, all these, there are different types of unit cells. Generally there are 14 types of unit cell, and these 14 types of unit cells are included in 7 crystal systems. So depending on the size of edge length, the size of the edge, that is A, B, C, and the angle between the edges alpha, beta, gamma, all these crystals are generally classified into 7 crystal systems. All these crystals are classified into 7 crystal systems. And again these crystal systems are classified into some unit cells that are known as your, so 7 crystal systems, and these are again classified into 14 type of unit cells. So in the crystal system, where the constituent particles are present. So in the unit cell, if the constituent particles are present only at the corners, suppose this is the unit cell, and if it's present only at the corners, then that are known as your simple unit cell or primitive unit cell. So in general, depending on the position of constituent particles, unit cells are classified as into two types. One is simple or primitive unit cell. So simple or primitive unit cell where all the constituent particles are present at corners. So constituent particles present at corners. And another is non-primitive unit cell. Also known as centered unit cell. Non-primitive or centered unit cells. In centered, there are three types of centered unit cell. Again, one is face centered unit cell, another body centered unit cell, and another face centered unit cell, body centered unit cell, and another end centered unit cell. So depending on whether the constituent particles are present, these unit cells are classified into two types. Suppose this is a unit cell and here the constituent particles are present corners. Look at, otherwise look this one just on. So how many corners are there? So in a cube, suppose this is actually tetragonal shape, but suppose you consider about this is similar to a cube, just only one the length is here more. Suppose this is in a cube or in a tetragon, generally how many corners are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 corners. And how many faces are there? That is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6. So 1, 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 faces are there. So there are 6 faces and 8 corners. And how many edges are there? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Suppose this one is also you consider as a cube, then it has also 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are actually in a cube there are generally 8 corners in a cube or in a tetragon. So in a cube there are 8 corners, 6 faces and 8 corners, 6 faces and another is 12 edges. So if the constituent particles present only at these faces, on the center of the faces, this is one face, center of the face, center of the face. If the constituent particles are present at corners along with the center of the faces, that are known as your face centered cube. If it is present corners as well as center of the body of the unit cell, that is known as your body centered cube. And if it is present only at the opposite two face centers, then that is known as your end centered. Unit cell. So in this way, unit cells are simple and non-primitive unit cells. So in this way, simple unit cells, only constant particles present at corners, and non-primitive or center unit cell, either the constant particles are present at face centers or at body center or at edge center or at end center. Any two opposite faces, if these are present, either two these two faces or either two the opposite faces or either two opposite faces if present, then that is known as your n-centered unit cells. So in this way, the 7 crystal systems are classified into 14 unit cells. So what are the 7 crystal systems? The 7 crystal systems are such as cubic unit cell, cubic crystal system, cubic, and another tetragonal, rhombic, so cubic crystal system, tetragonal crystal system, rhombic crystal system, a monoclinic, triclinic, rhombohedral, and another hexagonal. So there are 7 crystal systems, and these 7 crystal systems are classified into 14 unit cells. For example, the cubic unit crystal system classified into 3 types, and tetragonal classified into 2 types, rhombohedral classified into 4 types depending on the constituent particles. Okay, so there are all these crystal system, all these classified depending on the Earth's length and angles. Okay, so here I am going to give a chart so that you can know what are the shape of this. Look here. So these are classified into different types. Cubic, when A equal to B equal to C, and alpha equal to beta equal to gamma equal to 90 degree, and copper, sodium chloride, potassium chloride, cesium chloride comes under this. And tetragonal, A equal to B but not equal to C in this case. So here A equal to B but not equal to C. A equal to B, so here A, B are equal but not equal to C. In this type is tetragonal. And alpha, beta, gamma, so their angles are also 90 degree. So 5-tin stannous oxide, calcium sulfate, and titanium oxide undergo this type of arrangement. And rhombic or orthorhombic, A not equal to B not equal to C. So here all these are different. Look at this. So if you consider this one, here length, breadth and height, no one is similar. So in this way, okay. So this is one example of rhombic or orthorhombic. Okay, rhombic and orthorhombic, and but alpha, beta, gamma equal to 90 degree. Example, potassium nitrate, potassium sulfate, barium sulfate, all these generally undergo this type of arrangement. Next one, monoclinic. Here A not equal to B not equal to C, and alpha gamma equal to 90 degree but beta not equal to 90 degree. Just one is slightly slanting position. If you slant this in this way, you can find. So this is your monoclinic, and generally sodium sulfate and lead bromide undergo this type of arrangement. Triclinic, here A not equal to B not equal to C, and alpha not equal to beta not equal to gamma, so nothing is similar, but these crystals have copper sulfate and potassium dichromate and boric acids, all these are comes under this. Then rhombohedral, here A equal to B equal to C like rhombus, and alpha equal to beta equal to gamma, but no is 90 degree and no one is 90 degree, and that is sodium nitrate, arsenic, antimony, bismuth form this type of arrangement. Then hexagonal, in hexagonal A equal to B but not equal to C, the lowest two are same but the C is different. and A equal to alpha equal to beta 90 degree and gamma equal to 120 degree. So gamma between A and B, the angle is 120 degree in this type of arrangement. And HGS, ice, graphite, magnesium, zinc, cadmium, all these undergo this type of arrangement. So there are 7 crystal systems which are again classified into 14 types. So cubic classified into 3 types, tetragonal classified into, so this is of 3 types, this is of 2 types, this is of 4 types, this is 1, and this one of 2 types. In this way, all these are classified into different types of unit cells. Now, let us consider only about the simple cubic system. Okay, so consider about the simple cubic system. The simple cubic crystals is classified into further 3 types of unit cells. The simple cubic crystals classified further into 3 types of unit cells. Cubic crystal system further classified into 3 types. 1. Simple cubic or primitive unit cell. And another body-centered cubic, also known body-centered cubic unit cell. Body-centered cubic unit cell or simply BCC. Simply you can write BCC. This is the simple cubic or primitive unit cell. And another face-centered cubic unit cell. So, face-centered cubic unit cell also known as FCC. So, the cubic crystal system classified into 3 types of unit cell. In simple cubic system, the constituent particles are present only at the corner of a cube. Now, let us find out what is the number of particles present in each unit cell. Okay, let us consider one by one. So this cubic crystal system classified into 3 types. So first, simple cubic or primitive unit cell. In simple cubic system, these constituent particles are present only at the corner of a cube. Look here, so this one cube, and the constituent particles are present only at the corner of one cube. In this way, there are 8 corners, hence 8 particles are there. But actually, the number of particles per unit cell is actually 1, because the particle which is present at corner, it has contribution towards unit cell, that is equal to 1 by 8. Because which is present at this corner, it is in contact with total 8 unit cells. That is this one and other 7 unit cells. So look here. Suppose this consists of your 4 unit cells. Suppose one particle is present at this corner. So if this pencil is present in this corner, now this pencil is in contact with 4 unit cells here. And another 4 unit cells is also present. So actually constant particles are either spherical or generally taken as points or spherical. So but for here I am just giving this pencil because there is no other spherical particle here. So in this way, look here, if any particle is present here, this is in contact with 4 unit cell below it and another 4 unit cell above it. In this way, the particle which is present at the corner, it has contribution towards unit cell is 1 by 8 because it is contact with 8 other because it contact with 8 other unit cell. Okay, so the contribution of particle, which is present at corner, towards one unit cell. How much? That is 1 by 8, because it is linked with 8 unit cell. So as it is linked with 8 unit cell, each corner particle is linked with 8 other unit cell. In this way, its contribution towards unit cell is 1 by 8. So how many particles in this way? There are 8 number of particles. So it has 1 by 8, it has 1 by 8. All these particles have 1 by 8 contribution. As all have 1 by 8 contribution, in this way, so how many number of particles are there? So there are 8 number of particles. So that means among the only 1 by 8 part of present here, 1 by 8 part present here, 1 by 8 part present here, 1 by 8 part present here. So this contribution towards unit cell is 1 by 8, and there are 8 number of particles. So the number of particles per unit cell, that is equal to 8 into 1 by 8, that is equal to 1. So in simple cubic system, actually the number of particles per unit cell is 1. Next come to the number of particles present in body centered cubic. Number of particles in body centered cubic. Unit cell. So in body centered cubic unit cell, the particles are present at corners as well as the center of the body. So here the constituent particles are present at corners. So at 8 corners of this unit cell, as well as at the center of the body. So at the center of the body. Okay, so these are present at corners and as well as the center of the body. So the contribution of particle which is present at corner towards unit cell, that is 1 by 8, but which is present at the center of the body. So what is the contribution of this particle? This particular contribution towards unit cell is 1, because no other unit cell is attached to it. As no other unit cell is attached to it, in this way, the contribution of particle which is present at the center of the body, that is equal to how much? It is equal to 1. So in this way, number of particles per unit cell. So it has contribution here also 1 by 8, 1 by 8, 1 by 8, 1 by 8, all cases, but it has contribution 1. That means what is the total number of particles? That is 8 into 1 by 8 plus 1, that is equal to 2. So the number of particles in BCC, that is equal to 2. So the number of particles in BCC unit cell is equal to 2. Okay, now is it clear? Next come to face centered cubic crystal. Face centered cube or FCC, face centered cubic crystal. In face centered cubic crystal, the particles are present at the corners as well as the center of each faces. Look here. So in a cube, suppose there is a cube. How many faces are there? 6 faces. That means 6. So here one, here one, here one, here one, and above and below. So in this way 6 faces. And what is the contribution of the particle which is present at the center of the face? So which is present at corner, it has contribution towards unit cell is 1 by 8. Similarly, which is present at the face center, this is linked with another one unit cell, that is one particle is in one particle is generally linked with 2 unit cell. As one particle linked with 2 unit cell, in this contribution of particles towards one unit cell is how much? Half. And there are 6 phases. Okay, so in FCC crystal system, the constituent particles are present. In FCC crystal system, the constituent particles are present at 8 corners as well as center of each face. So here the constituent particles are present at 8 corners of the cube, 8 corners of the cube, as well as center of. So this one is the first in this here. So here is one particle present, here one particle present. So back face at the center one particle present, here one particle present, and at the face center. So in this face center this one, in this face center this one, front face this one, back face this one, above face, upper face, and lower face. In this way 6 particles are present. So the contribution of particles which is present at the face center. So towards unit cell, what is its contribution? That is half. And how many particles are present? 6 particles are present. So the contribution particle which is present at corner towards unit cell is 1 by 8. And the contribution of particle which is present at the center of face or at face center, that is equal to half. So number of particles, how much? So corner particle 8, each has 1 by 8. 8 into 1 by 8 plus 6 into half, that is equal to 1 plus 3, that is equal to 4. So in face centered cubic there are 4 particles present. In body centered cubic there are 2 particles present, and in simple cubic there are only 1 particles present for unit cell. So this is for today.